Hello YouTube world, Admiral Preparedness here. Today we're going to do some vacuum sealing like I promised you on an earlier video. These are all going to be perfect for long-term storage. Mentos. You always need a little creature comfort. Now these bags here already come pre-sealed on 3 sides and just so happen to be perfect for what I'm going to seal. Now, what's nice about this process, this is one of the oldest versions of the Food Saver vacuum sealer. Pretty old, been around for quite a while. It's not really, it's very noisy, so bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to pull the vacuum. As you can see here, the sound changes as the vacuum increases. That's the sealing. And it's done. What happens at the end is it creates a vacuum. It makes a nice seal all along the top. Okay, that's going to guarantee that no air is going to infiltrate this container. Now, we also have some creature comfort food. Basically, it's chocolate with peanut butter. Very inexpensive. Going to take those guys. Now, this tabletop has been sanitized with the Clorox disinfectant wipes before I started because I really don't want to be bringing any bad biologicals along for the ride while I'm trying to preserve my food for future use. Once it's placed in a vacuum, it is in a state of suspended animation, if that was what you would like to call it. A state of suspended animation pretty much locks what's happening now in these products. The good thing is, chocolate, when it's exposed to oxygen, will bloom. They call it blooming. And putting it under vacuum will stop that blooming. And as you can see, the vacuum is taking all the air is coming out, all the bad oxygen. The vacuum is now being sealed. The vacuum bag is being sealed. Now the bag is sealed. What we have here now is perfectly storable chocolate. Everybody calls it chocolate, but I call it chocolate for future use. Now everybody knows about these pouches, these seasoned pouches. If you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you've got a couple of these, you could also spice up some game. And we're talking from, creepy crawly little thingy bobber doos up to, large enough items where it wouldn't be bad. Now, what I like to do on these guys, since I know that they're sealed at the factory, is to create an area where I can almost guarantee that the oxygen is going to come out. Now, we don't know if these are sealed with a nitrogen flush, but there is a gas in these. Now, I personally don't like that gas material because I don't know what it is. It could be oxygen, it could be just the air from the factory. I don't like it, so I want to get rid of it. And what I do is I'll give reason for all that goodness to go to the bottom. And I'll split it just a little bit, get that air out. Now sometimes I'll take these guys and shake them to make them flatter to get all that goodness evenly distributed through the bag. That's just for storage purposes. And you can smell the spices coming off the product. Once this is open in the future, these bags will still last several months. So you don't have to worry about quickly using these guys because it's spices. Spices don't lose their essence right quick. Now what you can do is arrange them so they're able to allow that slit that you put in the bag to remove that air that's in there from opening it up to sealing it. This shouldn't take very long since these bags are small. There you go. Now you've got a flat pack that's storable for several years, if not a couple decades, because this is going to go into a container that's going to be sealed and it's going to be dark. Of course, it's vacuum packed. You can almost guarantee that there's, with that seal, that's not going to be breached. And we have our, now these are brown gravies, which are excellent because what you're going to do with these guys is use them for other recipes, not just for potatoes. If you're a gardener and you want to go out there and garden, these guys are perfect for that. Now once again, once you've made that slit, you don't want to be handling these too much because you'll end up emptying out the contents and making a mess. I don't like to do that, so I try to keep them faced up. That way that goodness doesn't come rushing out and spilling everywhere. We don't have ants here because we take care of that early spring. They come out once a year and we get them before they get any busier. And once again, the vacuum's going to take not very long at all. And this system is excellent because it's was inexpensive. This is probably 2 decades old, this unit here. I did have to make a small repair right here using one of those little wristband, foam type wristbands and a little super glue, and it got caused because I used to keep the hose in here, and one time I shut it and the hose came across it and put a dent in it, and that ruined it. But it works now. Yankee ingenuity. Now, of course, we know what these guys are, so these will be really easy to pressure check. You do want to slice, you do want to let that air out. There's not really much there. It is sealed by some form of gas, but I don't know what that gas is. One of these days, I'd like to contact the manufacturers, but I don't think they're going to give me any information. And once again, these bags are perfect. Like self-contained spaceships for food. You know what these guys are. There's no questioning what's inside the bag. I like these guys because they're perfect. But once it begins to pull over the vacuum, you take the top off and it'll self-seal. And that guy's now vacuum sealed for the next however long. I mean, that's not going to hurt nothing. Completely waterproof. No air is going to get inside. A little tip, if you wanted to, you could use the same box. Crush the box sideways. And now you have a protectant of your product inside. I don't know if you want to, that takes up a little room, but for me, I like to just keep it that way. And there you go, folks. A little example of how to long-term store foods that you would normally not have long-term store using a simple, inexpensive. You could probably find these at thrift shops or Salvation Army shops for 10 bucks. But I've had this one for well over 20 years, and I do have my eye on one of those newer versions. But this one works, so in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it does appear to be broke, try to fix it. Admiral Preparedness here. You guys have a great day. Bye.